Bearcat Bounce Podcast. Back at it again. Monday. Happy Monday. Monday following bye week Monday. Monday after crazy college football weekend Monday. Monday also where basketball just that much closer. Wes Miller and the boys ready to get back at it again. Huge visit week as well. Post Monday, and it's a time where one of our fearless leaders, our lead fearless leader, was in attendance at an event today where he's going to be able to digest a little bit for us, and we can get ready for a little round ball here on the BBP. It's also a Monday we're going to welcome in the guys, the crew. Squad is all assembled. 1, 2, 3 of us right now. The fourth is on the way. But without further ado, Aaron Smith, Chad Brendel, gentlemen, how are we?
Good.
Good.
Had the kiddo. This is how you know she's my kid. She is on fall break.
Oh, fun.
And what do you want to do on fall break? I want to go to basketball practice.
Oh, wow.
So we went to basketball practice today.
Okay.
That's my child is and that's, practice normally closed, but Kelsey wants to go, then Kelsey gets to go to practice. So we went to practice today.
I mean, I think the entire BCJ faithful will sit back and say, thank you, Kelsey. Seriously.
It's always, I can go because they like me more than you. And I'm like, whatever, you win.
Yeah, right. You win.
I have to remind her in that scenario, I'm not very likable. So that's entirely possible. Like,
nowadays, it's not too much to push past. I mean, there's 2 things in life this year is no one's safe in college football, and Kelsey might be more likable than Chad. I think that's fair to put those 1 and 2 together, if you will. So
probably. I mean, again, it's not a very high bar. Like
no. It's
like that entry level bar in the high jump that's right above the mat.
Okay. Yeah.
So as long as you can jump up on the mat,
right,
then you can make it over the bar.
I was going to say, it's like roughly Chad Brendel, Brent Young vertical level jump.
I mean, my verticals, it's not good anymore. It used to be pretty good. It's not.
Okay.
Anymore.
You can dunk. Should we do a dunking contest? Whoever can dunk on the pod. Another podcast I listen to. It's just
there's none of us here that can dunk.
I've got money on maybe Aaron or Royer.
Absolutely not. No chance.
Maybe Royer. I have my money on Royer. Yes.
I'll put. How much you want to bet? Don't talk yet. Hold on. How much you want to bet?
I think if I had a personal sit-down meeting with my boy and I told him the incentives for him to challenge, to complete this challenge, I think just give me 4 months. I think the boy's dunking.
No. We're not talking. We're talking about can dunk.
10K.
Right
10K. Lay it down.
I'm in. Royer, 10K. You got to get a dunk down.
Yep.
And if not, I get 10K.
If you don't,
if you do,
then you have to pay it. But if you do it, then you get half.
Man, I don't know. I haven't been jumping much lately.
The boy, babe. Come on. Just had the Alec Pierce Colts game.
Is it a tennis ball or a men's ball?
A basketball.
I'll throw you an alley-oop.
I don't know. Maybe. You'd have to catch me on a good day.
Okay.
Struggle dunk.
Man,
this is the most absurd. We've had some absurd conversations. This is up there, top 5 most absurd conversation we've ever had on this podcast.
Your good days are every day that ends in Y. So, I'm thinking it could happen. Absurd.
Have you ever dunked before? Have you dunked before?
Kind of.
Okay.
Not
now we're getting the
clean.
real answer.
I'm liking my odds here. Really, truly. Well, I mean, speaking of dunking, Chad, I'm hoping you saw a lot of dunking today. We're gonna be touching on that here shortly, but it's thrilling how close basketball season is, and the fact that we get this little charity exhibition game. It's like like Christmas in July, if you will, if you want to get a little crazy calendar wise, because I mean, when you see that as one of the next events, next home event when it comes, football or basketball, it's a basketball exhibition game that's live. I mean, in Cincinnati, yeah, sign me heck up.
It's like getting to open Christmas presents on Thanksgiving.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
Basically, is what it is.
Yeah. It's like, whoa, why is there this random present and like wrapping paper next to it, and then Santa Claus says, "Oh, actually, you get this one on Thanksgiving."
Right.
Right, Aaron? Ho, ho, ho. Aaron, how are we, sir? How was the weekend, man?
Weekend was all right. My ribs have started to get better, at least enough that I was able to mow the lawn. So when you have almost 4 acres to mow, that's a lot of sitting on a rider, and plenty of ibuprofen later. Made it through it. So on the mend.
I forgot we were doing the ongoing rib saga.
It's so stupid.
You've been a warrior, quite the warrior down there.
So stupid.
Would you say that you're like day to day now? Are you like officially the DDD?
I think I'm still like, I don't know, I guess about 75-80%.
Wow.
So on the mend. We're getting there.
I'd slide you into my tight end spot. No worries. Lock it in. Good job.
Chad can dunk an Oreo.
Chad,
that was a big pause there, Brent. Big pause on that.
I thought I was gonna be able to get through without anyone catching it, but the second I said it, I was like, "Damn it, man!" Well, Royer, how are we, sir? It was the Alec Pierce game yesterday.
Yeah, man.
And you know what? I was actually at a bar in Grandview, Columbus, Ohio, and
really, where were you at?
Ran into a couple boys at Grandview Cafe. You heard of it?
There you go. It's a good spot.
Oh yeah, and ran into a couple boys from Dublin Kaufman. They were just they were all about just blabbing about old Ohio State. I said I don't have time for all this. So it was a quick move on. But how are we, man?
I'm good, dude. Yeah, it was great seeing Alec ball out again. I think it's been a great year for him. So I've been really happy for him. Other than that, just kind of chilled, watched football, baseball, man. Just can't beat that kind of stuff. Playoff baseball to mix in with college football kind of makes me forget about the good old Brownies, man. They look so good right now.
They look awesome. About as good as the Bengals.
Too,
yeah. Those
Terry Francona getting hired for the Redlegs.
How about that?
That was huge. That's like a 5-year like speed up run for the Reds. They can utilize his managerial talent, but it was a good weekend though.
Aaron, Chad, can we get just a brief sentence out of you guys both about the Bengals before we move on to Bearcat talk?
No, I do that show tomorrow night.
Okay. That's a good tease. Very good tease there. Catch Aaron on George in the Jungle tomorrow, where he will give us his one sentence and more on the Bengals. Chad, you got a sentence for me?
Not great, Bob.
Okay.
Not great.
Fair. Golly. I mean, I was just impressed he was able to get that much foot into the ball even as that hold scenario is going on, but I don't know. Probably shouldn't have been in that situation nonetheless. Well, anyway, if you were like listening to Dan on the radio broadcast of the Bengals game yesterday and you thought, hey, it sounds like they're gonna squeak out a W here and a thriller against the Ravens, and then all of a sudden you hear the hold was a little off. You might have like got a little jittery behind the wheel and lost a hubcap or fender to bender. But we got to do that. Got to head over to Danco Transmission and Auto Care. Get Danco Transmission and Auto Care. Danco, Joe, we love you. Mention Chad, Aaron, Ryan. Mention Evan McPherson, Joey Burrow, Alec Pierce, and mention the Bearcats against the UCF Golden Knights. But that is where we are. Without further ado, let's move on. Chad, we already teased it. You were able to take in a little practice. Is the the big time guest for Wednesday confirmed? Can we further tease that?
All systems are go, at least as of this afternoon. Wes Miller will be joining us Wednesday night on the BCJ podcast. So,
cool.
Looking forward to it.
I love
it.
Epic. Well, tonight you are our Wes Miller, head coach of the BBP. So I'm going to pass you the ball, and you just tell me how you do it. What was the setting? What was the scenario? Kind of just overview of how things came about today, and some storylines that we can roll on.
It was basketball practice. That's
fantastic.
That's what it was. That's the storyline.
Man, we really got the inside baseball here.
Yeah, that was.
I mean, I don't know what, like, you always set this up as if it's some like grand thing. It's just basketball practice, really.
I think a lot of people out there, fans wise, would spend money to attend a basketball practice. So the fact that we have an insider that was there,
17 years of doing it, maybe has desensitized being at basketball practice. It's just bad. Like, they were working on a lot of first off, it was the day off of a weekend break. And Ryan can tell you give college kids a couple days off, that first practice back usually takes a little yelling and screaming to get everybody back on the same page. So it was a little sloppy today, but overall it was a lot of offense. I think, the main takeaway for me, they made a bunch of shots that made Wes not super happy because he didn't feel like the defense was playing at their standard expected high level. But ultimately that's one, it's going to help this defense going forward because you're going to see in practice that you have to defend. You can tell, and we'll see, it's yet to be seen if it translates to games, but I think you can really tell, like, Day Thomas, most of the summer, every time I was around, Tim Buckley was somewhere near Day Thomas working with him.
Okay.
And his shot looks a lot more, his shot didn't look bad.
No.
But it looks more repeatable. It looks more fundamentally sound. Now, when you get in live action with real games and the bullets are flying, guys can tend to revert back to that, that natural, whatever it was that their rhythm was coming in. But Day is shooting it pretty well. Jizzle looks much improved, but more importantly, Seamoss and Conor Hickman and CJ Frederick and Tyler Betsy. There's just a lot more spacing available on the roster this year. And, last year it was, for the most part, like CJ was your shooter and he got hurt. So you didn't really have, until Seamoss really got on track towards the back third of the season, you were out there a lot of times without really much perimeter firepower. Now, stuff like, Tyler Betsy had, they were forcing different guys to bring the ball up. So it was like, simulating, you get a rebound and you're pushing it up the court.
Okay.
And, Tyler Betsy's not going to be a guy that plays a lot, like, with the ball in his hands. He's not going to be a shot creator, at least early in his career, but he pushes the ball up. He gets a little bit of an angle to the left side, gets just inside the free throw line, turns. Conor Hickman filling on the right side, catch, back. Like, little stuff like that just really makes it hard on a defense to guard you, especially in, leverage, transition opportunities, secondary break, where everybody's trying to get back. And, if you've been around basketball, you kind of run to the middle and then, fan out. Well, if I can get the ball down the floor and get it to a shooter before your defense can fully set, and you've got enough guys that can knock down that shot, that's an extra basket or two a game. And we've seen in this league, an extra basket or two a game can mean a significant amount. So, that was some of the stuff they were working on. They were working on a lot more of, just kind of install, working against the scout team, running through plays and making sure like the base of what they want to do is kind of where it needs to be. But it was overall it was good. We did get a little 5-on-5 towards the end. So you got to see a little bit of live run. Nothing too like earth-shattering there, but from a viewing perspective, as much of that as you can see, the better off you are. And the white team, I think you could call the starters or some facsimile thereof with Dan and Dylan Mitchell and Seamoss and Jizzle and Day and Arrington Page, Aziz. I think that was it. And then the other team with Hickman running point guard and CJ Frederick and Tyler Betsy, like that was the team with the shooters. Yeah. And they hung around in a lot of the situations because they had guys that can bang a three and can allow you to kind of, stay close even against a team that's probably physically superior to you. So, I put some stuff on the board that, you're more than welcome to go check out, but just good to see that's what you worry. They were last in the Big 12 in 3-point shooting. Like, think about how close they were. Mm-hmm. And if they could just be middle of the pack in 3-point shooting, that changes the outcome of multiple games from a season ago. So it was good to, more than anything, it was good to see some shot making from your perimeter guys that you expect to be able to make shots.
Enough about the shooting. Tell me about the bigs. How did Dylan Mitchell do? How did Arrington Page do? How did Aziz do?
They were okay. Nothing. I mean, I think Aziz caught 4 or 5 lobs that were thrown. Like,
they weren't shitty lobs. They were good lobs.
Wait a minute.
That's breaking news.
A little bit more recognition for like closer proximity lobs, not lobs where you're trying to throw from the right
half court.
Yeah, the right wing over by the bench, trying to complete a lob.
The check-in area. Right.
Yeah, on the left side of the rim. Like more.
F it, Aziz down there somewhere, right? Come
off a ball screen, get downhill, wait for the big man to react, lob it, a soft lob, not, but like, just get it up there by the rim and the big fellow will go get it. Hopefully that is a sign of being comfortable playing with him, because last year that stuff all got so screwed up, right? Like, you practice with him for a while and you're starting to get some you're starting to get some rhythm in the off season and in the start of practice, and then it's pretty clear that he's not going to be cleared by the start of practice. So then you have to pull him out, and now you're not getting a lot of that rhythm, a lot of that cohesiveness. So they seem more comfortable knowing that the big fella is down there and how to properly lob it to him.
He was injured on top of that too. So not only did he miss the beginning of the season,
injury,
but he also missed a couple games because of the back injury. So, and I don't even know if was he ever 100%? I imagine
probably not. I mean, not. When you're 7'1" and pretty thin, like a back injury isn't just something. Just give it a couple days rest. You'll be fine. That's not usually how that works, right? So yeah, probably never saw him at 100%. But Aaron, it didn't. Let's be honest, it didn't matter. The lobs were so bad that like you could have given him stilts.
There's a reason we called them
making those up.
There's a reason we called them an ongoing joke, shitty lobs. Like they were shitty lobs.
Yeah,
they were.
So the lobs were bad. But the thing, like, with this personnel, you're just not going to see a whole lot of like standard traditional post up, guy with the defender on his back with his hand up and
Can any of them do that? Because I mean, Jamil was kind of the only guy. Vic kind of
not really
took that part of his game away. Yeah, it seems like.
I mean, but Aziz has got it in his repertoire. But
yeah,
to be able to make that first move, then he'd always travel every time he made that first move. He forgot that he had to keep dribbling.
Yeah. I mean, Aziz, the problem you worry about there is just defenders are going to be, at least like in their base, in their lower body, able to like lead him off the spot. Right. And if you can lead him off the spot, then he's not going to be able to get into his. So that's not going to be something that is a staple of what they do offensively. It's not really what Page does. It's not what Aziz does. Dylan Mitchell is more rim run. He's certainly not built like a guy you're just going to. I think it's a mismatch or, gets a 6'5" guy on him. He can.
You saw Seamas do that too. Dan did that too.
Yeah, so you'll probably see it more inverted, where you'll see it more from the threes and the fours than you will from the fives, depending on how the matchup goes. But they rebounded pretty well today. The block shot thing, you know how that goes. Aziz is going to be really good at it. Yeah, Page is okay at it.
Dylan's
a solid like weak side rim protector.
Right.
You're not going to have him doing a whole lot of just like one-on-one, like go get this bad boy.
Yeah.
But he's athletic enough that he can come from the offside or come from, switching off of his defender and making a play, which hopefully allows Aziz to stay at home a little bit more. But yeah, I mean, this team is going to be built from 1 through 4. And the 5 is going to be screens, rebounds.
What a 5 is in today's basketball game.
Right. I mean, there are some still out there that you can
unless
throw
you're like
to
Joel Embiid, Hunter Dickinson. Yeah, right.
Right.
Yeah.
But for the most part, that's not what I'm expecting from this group.
Yeah. You mentioned cohesiveness. As you said 17 years. You've been around the program for a damn long time, Chad. Hats off. But can you sense that, a lot was made on the offseason about just the amount of returning production that came back in a year, in an age of college basketball, college sports, where it's just like turnover. Can you sense that, you mentioned install and things like that. Can you sense that they're a step further ahead at this point, comparatively so to the last couple of seasons, and they can kind of get that install a little bit more?
I mean, that's difficult for me to say. I haven't been at a ton of stuff since practice started.
Right.
2 weeks ago, whatever it was. So that making that comparison is difficult, but it looks like they're spending less time going over everybody's standing around and Wes, okay, this guy goes here and that guy goes there. And you want to do there's less of that happening and a little bit more of, let's just get into this thing. Let's pick it up and, hey, we're running da-da-da-da-da. And if somebody doesn't know it, then they got to get with one of the older guys.
Yeah.
And one of the older guys will tell them what's going on. That's kind of the main thing that, that experience affords you. It also means you don't have to spend as much time doing the quote unquote defensive boot camp. You're still going to do it, but it's going to be different when you don't have, half of the team is new. And then the guys that are returning are guys that are moving up into their role. This is 6-7 guys that did this for, all of last season and that played together a ton. And that, that does change the equation on how much time you have to spend on some of the teaching stuff, the basics, the getting everybody on the same page stuff. You would hope they're on the same page by this point. And for the most part, it looks like they are.
Everyone, talks about those returners still, but, obviously Wes, they had the tip-off dinner. There were some good posts about that on the board. you know, he had his interview with Rothstein on Rothstein's podcast and whatnot. And obviously he's going to talk about it more on Wednesday, but just some younger names that I constantly hear being brought up. You brought him up over the summer as well. First off, I thought it was hilarious, Roy Williams, what he said about Tyler Betsy, you know, calling him and saying, hey, I hear you're a shooter. And Roy was like, I don't like shooters, I like makers. So do you see Betsy being a guy that can carve out a role, which as you've mentioned numerous times, we've talked about, is very difficult in the Big 12. And then of course, just a little bit more about what Arlington Page, if you see like he's starting to be that guy that can fill in those backup 5 minutes at a good high level. Because I mean, Wes talks glowingly about him, and of course he is now pinned AP as the player that he says is only scratching the surface. I think that means that Dan Skilling says has officially moved on from the scratching of the surface side of things. And then lastly, a little bit more as far as it goes with well, actually, let's just do those two. No need to befuddle you.
You're exhausting.
I'm excited. This is excitement.
First thing I will say is Tyler Betsy does not look like the same dude that showed up here like 4 months ago. He's put on 15 or so pounds. That's kind of reshaped his body. Like, you know, it was a little doughy when he got here. That is not the case anymore. I mean, he is he's right around 225 is what I was told today. And you know who played under 225? Justin Jackson, Gary Clark, Trey Scott. Like, Tyler Betsy is already physically bigger than those dudes. I won't say stronger, like, you know, old Gary, like old man Gary and old man Trey. Those dudes were pretty physically imposing. But there's just a really positive vibe around Tyler because of the way he's came in and worked, and you know, hasn't been difficult, hasn't been a freshman, has, you know, asked questions and taken coaching and, you know, done a lot of the things that kind of those freshmen that do end up being able to help. This is the approach that they have. Now he's also going to have to, you know, tough it out when maybe there's a night where he doesn't get the minutes that he thinks he should get, or there's a game he doesn't play a whole lot, or he makes a mistake and gets yanked and doesn't go back out there. Like, the mental side of that, you know, you don't find that out until the bullets are flying. Right. But he's handled everything really, really well so far. And everybody you talk to around the program is like, look, this kid's got a bright future because he's got a good head on his shoulders, and he's about the work, and he's about, you know, kind of going through the process and not trying. I think the biggest problem with a lot of freshmen is they try to skip steps, right? Like, I'm a top fit. Like, I don't have to do that. And he hasn't seemed to have any of that really in him. So as long as it continues, I mean, you know, he can really, really shoot it. Defensively, he looks all right. Like, that's another one of those, like, you're gonna have length, to see it, which is, you know, can't teach. 7-foot wingspan. I didn't realize his, you know, he doesn't look that long until you get out there and you start seeing him, because he's kind of got that, you know, he's got a good build, physical. He doesn't look like a rail. And usually like it's those rail thin guys that you're like, damn, their arms go on forever. Right. But, you know, he's got a long wingspan. He's not a super bouncy athlete, but he's athletic. You know what I mean? Like, he's not going to wow you jumping out of the gym. Yep. So any chance Michael Jordan shows up with Roy Williams to a game this year? No. 0.00% chance.
Maybe throw like 0.00001. Just to like
keep everyone saying nibbling. There's a chance.
Keep everyone nibbling away.
I'm making it clear there is not a chance.
Okay, fair.
I mean, they didn't play together. They don't really know each. Like, yeah, they both went to North Carolina, but they're 25. Like, no, Michael Jordan's not coming.
Don't they golf together?
I don't think so.
I mean, I would love to see Jordan come in and say, like, man, I've met met Wes. The movement is happening. The ceiling is the roof, and then just like walk off the court. That'd be awesome. That'd be awesome. Aaron, you got a pepper for me?
I'm just kind of curious. We know that the shooting looked good. What does Day look like coming off of his injury? Does he look like he's back to fastest?
And that he's been back.
Elite
that was
speed.
Elite speed. That was when they eased him back a little bit in June, but by July he was good to go, and he looks like Day. Like, it doesn't look like there's he broke a small fracture in his foot. He didn't do there wasn't any like major
or anything. Yeah,
right. There wasn't any
surgery.
major like something that's going to impede his like movement. You want to be careful that you don't land on a foot or do whatever that breaks it again. But so far he looks great.
And I was just going to ask what Day and Jizzle look like commanding this offense with the new pieces around them and all of that.
Good. I mean, that's the benefit now of having. Last year you had two guys that had not dribbled the basketball in a Division I game. Now you got two guys that have played an entire season in the Big 12.
But a noticeable difference between last year and now.
Yeah, because they had no clue what they were doing at this point last year. They were confident, talented basketball players, but this was not something that they had ever done before. So there was still a lot of growth, a lot of teaching, and they're not all the way there yet. They're still fairly young. Day-Day's a little bit older, obviously being a senior, but Jizzle seems a lot more comfortable. Like, he was quiet last year. You didn't hear a whole lot out of him. I heard him a couple times today, like barking orders at guys and like getting people in the right place, or if the one part of a drill wasn't up to standard, Jizzle would kind of go in on somebody. So he's not Troy Copain by any stretch of the imagination, but you're starting to see some of that where he's a little bit more comfortable finding his voice as the point guard, as the leader of a team. So that stuff's getting there, Aaron. It's definitely significantly farther along than it was at this point last year, when everybody was just kind of holding their breath and being like, I hope this works out.
Two brand new point guards.
We don't have anybody else that can do it. So
well, I tell you
point
what,
guard Dan Skillings.
Whoa. All right.
Right.
All right. Two quick things about that. It's just crazy about the shot making of Day Thomas, because his stroke looked good, but then of course he didn't really hit at a high clip at all, and then you had the Big 12 tournament game against West Virginia, and you're like, whoa, all these shots that look good are actually falling. So it's good to hear that he's kind of getting that consistency up a little bit, and I feel like Jizzle, the comfortability is probably coming also as his star grows. I feel like that he's just kind of one of those guys that really feeds into the knowing that people started to trust him and really look forward to him blowing up, which I think he will. Real quick, Chad, because I know it seems like everyone constantly asks about Rayvon, and I can't help to wonder about him as well. I mean, it seems like he's kind of really pushed the envelope to see any chance that he can continue to try and push forward to get some playing time. I think obviously he's been mentioned numerous times at the tip-off dinner, and then of course just throughout the off season. So anything pop from Rayvon? I imagine he was on the you said the white team and the red team, so I imagine he was on the red team, if you will. Yeah, black team. So anything from him, and is it still just continue that
today?
Effort?
I mean, it's so crowded there. Like, that's he's not really a three. So at this point, at least, like it's you can play him. I think you could play him sparingly there, but I don't think you want him there a bunch. It's just not at that point yet where he's comfortable like being out on the floor with the ball and making contested shots from the perimeter. He's a guy right now that's going to have to defend, going to have to rebound, going to have to kind of scrap and claw his way onto the floor. But boy, that's where this team is loaded the most, right? Like, Dan, Seamoss, Dylan Mitchell, Tyler Betsy, CJ Frederick kind of fits like at the top end of that. You can play him at the 2 or the 3.
Right.
Like, there's just not right now the way the roster is constructed. Ray's going to have to really play well to force his way into a consistent spot. I think he'll get minutes. Like, he gives you everything you want in terms of his effort and his attitude and his want to. But when you're at Texas Tech or playing Kansas at home, like, you're going to go with the guys that you're a little bit more confident in because you've seen them do it.
Yeah,
that's
and because you actually have them.
Right.
Not a lot of other teams have that luxury, so that's good. Aaron, you got any more peppers?
For me, college sports, everybody says it's a guards game. I think at the highest level of the sport, it's a wing game because they're so versatile now. They can do so many different things. They can help you in so many different ways. If you look at the teams that are winning championships or competing for championships now, none of them are weak at the 3 and the 4. Like, they're, they've all got, 6'8", 6'9" guys that can shoot and defend and get up and down the floor. Like, that's really where the game is headed. And I think this roster, I can't remember back to a time where there was that much pop at the 3-4, 3-4 guys deep that are going to be able to give you quality minutes. Aaron, sorry.
No, I don't think I have anything more. I think, for where we're at right now, as far as the practice schedule goes, I think that covers anything that I would want to know at this stage of the game.
I didn't get to AP for you. He's got work to do still. He's still a young, developing big man. He's still young for his grade. He hasn't played a whole lot of minutes. They need to get him a little bit more rugged. Like, I think he wants to be more of a perimeter-based guy, but if you're playing the 5 in this league, you're gonna have to get your hands dirty a little bit. So I think they're working on that. I think it would have been great to have Tyler pushing him a little bit more, McKinley. But unfortunately, that's not going to happen because I think that battle could have gotten very real. Where I think Tyler could have challenged for those backup minutes at the 5, but we're not going to. All indications are we're probably not going to see him this year. So that puts a lot more stress on getting AP up to speed and getting him where he wants to be. He's practicing hard. He's doing everything that they ask of him. You're just asking a guy to kind of add on to what he's already kind of developed. And that's a process. That's not something that he gets here in June and all of a sudden by the beginning of October, like, he's Justin Jackson out there. Like, you're gonna have to, like, get him through some of those growing pains of putting it on tape and saying, hey, like, that wasn't good enough today. Or, you let your guard down for just a second and this guy got a key offensive rebound. Things of that nature are going to be part of his growth process.
What do you think a Roy Williams big man is?
They played 2 bigs, like back to the basket, guy that can trail the break, catch it, rebounder, score with his back to the basket, be physical. I think that's the thing that you looked at with a lot of those Roy Williams bigs is they were a lot more physical than maybe you anticipated.
Yeah. Royer, you got one pepper for us? Marcus wants to hear you ask a good, juicy question.
I was wondering, I saw, was it Rosenstein? Is that his name?
Let's call him Rosenstein. I kind of like
Jim Rosenstein.
Well, Jim Rosenstein.
He was really hyped up about Conor Hickman. Did you notice anything about?
I love Conor Hickman.
Do you think I know the thing is like he's going to be pushing to start, but like it's kind of hard to really imagine him breaking through that lineup with all the guys that are coming back and kind of.
I don't think it's that hard.
Do you think so? You're saying there's a chance?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Would you say over 50%?
No, I'd probably like 40%. I think it just depends on like what they decide. Like the biggest question is going to be who they decide out of that group is the guy that comes off the bench.
Right.
Because really, like there's probably a group of 4 between Hickman, Dan, Seamoss, and Dylan Mitchell. Like 3 of those guys are, because I think we figure Jizzle or Day, but probably Jizzle is going to start at the 1.
Yeah.
Aziz is going to start at the 5.
Yeah.
Who are those 3 guys? Kind of 2, 3, 4. Like who's starting? Who's coming off the bench early? What is is it? We want to bring some instant like shooting and some pop off the bench. Then it's maybe Hickman. It's difficult to say, and you have to look at it too. I think I think that like people think, and probably talent wise, I would agree. Your most talented lineup would be Jizzle, Dan, Seamoss, Mitchell, and Aziz.
It's a big lineup.
It's a big lineup. You don't really have a 2 in that lineup because I think Dan is more of a 3. So this league, like there's a lot of teams that play 2 smaller, quicker guards. Mm-hmm. Can Dan guard like a Max Asmus from last year? Now he's not at Texas in here, Texas in the league, but like that type of guy, like is he going to be able to guard a 6'3", 6'2", 6'3", like shifty, quick combo guard? Mm-hmm. And if not, then that's where maybe Hickman slides in at the 2, and then the 3 and the 4 is 2 out of Dan, Seamoss, and Mitchell, and then one of those guys is coming off the bench as one of the higher profile 6 men in the conference. The thing I love about Hickman is you've got a roster that those guys at the top that we're talking about play their best with the ball in their hands. And maybe not Dylan, but like definitely Dan, Jizzle, Day. Like those guys are best with the ball in their hands, putting it on the floor, finding space, creating. Hickman is a guy that doesn't need the ball much. Like, he caught a pass on the left wing today, 2 dribbles, got right into the heart of the defense. Defense collapsed. He dunked it to it or dropped it to a big man for a dunk. He touched the ball for like, a second and a half. But he was able to, because the ball movement was good and the floor spacing was good, get it in a spot, make 2 quick dribbles. He could have hit a floater. He could have kicked it for a 3. On this particular play, he found a big man that had gotten open because his guy came over to cut off the drive. But like, catch and shoot, or just coming off a ball screen, catching and keeping it moving. Like his shooting makes the defense respect wherever he is on the floor, and his decision making can make a defense pay because they have to respect the fact that he can, without very much space at all, just rise up and hit a 3 on you. So I think it's finding that balance on offense of guys that complement each other. And when you got a bunch of guys that I don't even want to say are ball dominant, because I don't think it's a team that needs to play a lot in isolation. But, Jizzle's obviously going to be better getting to his spot with the ball in his hand. Like Day wants to turn the corner and get downhill. Dan wants to attack baseline with the ball in his hands. Having a guy that complements them, that doesn't need it, but is super productive when he gets it. That's how teams go from pretty good on offense to really good on offense, because there's complementary, you don't have a bunch of repeat guys, or you also don't have a bunch of guys that I think, like, for me, the ultimate analogy for what, like, something that didn't work You had Deontay Vaughn.
Yeah.
That for 3 years ran off just constant screens and action and motion. And then you had Lance Stevenson that wanted you to throw the ball to him, clear out, everybody make space, and then make plays off of what he was able to do off the bounce, which was obviously NBA level good. But those two players didn't complement each other because one had to play one way and one had to play the exact opposite way. And you're not running Vaughn off of screens when Lance has got the ball in isolation on the right wing. Like, things like that. And I think Hickman, the way that he plays, allows him to be kind of a connector to other parts of the offense. So that's the thing that I think is interesting offensively when you have him on the floor, is that he makes you quite a bit more dynamic, connecting pieces. Like in FIFA, if you play FIFA, right?
Okay.
And you're playing Ultimate Team. Well, if this guy has a connection to this guy, all of a sudden there's like the little white line turns like green.
Okay.
And then you put the striker at the top, and he connects with the middle back, and he connects with and all of a sudden now you've got that's Conor Hickman.
That's Conor Hickman, and that's talking FIFA on the BBP. I could go on and on about basketball for a couple more hours, but I think we probably should move along. And anything more from you, Aaron?
Well, just
Brian?
think, in 2 weeks we're gonna have the Ohio State thing.
We're gonna literally have that to talk about, as well as the big win over Arizona State. So it's to talk about the 2-game winning streak. And Aaron, anything further from you?
No, just kind of building on that Conor Hickman thing. I think it's going to be interesting to see if, even just depending on who they're playing and what rotation they're going up against, if you're going to see different starting rotations depending on who they're playing. And I don't know. I'm just curious to see how some of that plays out. How selfless this team is.
Even if the starting rotation stays mostly the same, like what the substitution patterns look like, and how much are you like digging into the analytics? Like, okay, these 5 guys are playing really well together. Like maybe we need to get them a little bit more action, or this matchup calls for this. So we've got the versatility now. I think that's probably what you're getting at, Aaron. Like if you're playing a team that's a little bigger, maybe you can go with Dan Seamus and Dylan at the 2, 3, 4. If you're playing a team that's a little smaller, then maybe you need Hickman in there, and you kind of rotate between those guys. So that part, that's the great part of having actual depth. I mean, the question for me, like, that's fascinating, and I can't believe Brent hasn't asked this, but Jizzle, Day, Hickman, Dan, Seamus, Dylan, Page, Aziz, that's already 8. That's not, we haven't talked about CJ Frederick, we haven't talked about Josh Reed, we haven't talked about Tyler Betsy, we haven't talked about Rayvon.
It's fascinating.
You've got 8 kind of that, like when you pencil it in, there's 8 guys that are going to play a lot. And then how do the rest of them fit in? And is anybody able to, like, does Tyler Betsy throughout the season become a guy that earns more and more time? Does Josh Reed, like we saw last year, like we kind of felt like Josh wasn't going to be an important piece. And then when he showed that he could be the guy that could come in when John Newman came out and you weren't going to see a huge drop off on defense, then all of a sudden Josh's minutes started going up, coupled with CJ getting hurt. I think, also opened up some opportunity there. And when you have a guy go down for a week or 2, like, knock on wood, you hope that doesn't happen, but inevitably, like, there are going to be bumps and bruises and whatever over the course of a long season. Even if you stay relatively healthy, like, a guy's going to get an opportunity to get some more minutes here and there. What does he do with it? So that part is like, that part of this roster is fascinating. Do I think they have, like, Kentucky level, like, oh, we're going to run a platoon where 5 guys in, 5 guys out? Like, no, I don't think ultimately it's like that, because, like,
it's not hockey subs.
Right. Well, like, look, Harrington Page is not going to be an equal trade-off for Aziz right now. Like when Aziz comes out, there's going to be a level of drop-off to a guy that's in his second year of college basketball to a guy that's in his fifth. Yeah. So, it's not to that level, and there's still going to be development that needs to happen from these guys that are going to be coming off the bench.
Yeah.
But the numbers game says, you're going to feel a lot more comfortable going to guy 8, going to guy 9, than we have been in quite a while.
Yeah. Chad. Hey, Chad. Bonjour. Bonjour, Chad. Tell me, Halvin Zella, just real quick, how did he look?
I was a little surprised. He was active. Stop. Just stop.
I took French in high school.
Yeah, it shows. You stopped in high school. You haven't spoken any French since high school.
Oh, I spoke it when I was in France. But carry on.
Humble brag.
Active. He your parents are rich. Congratulations.
No, that was all me.
A lot of deflections. A couple, had like a little nice righty hook in the lane. He hit one 15-foot jumper that made me think interesting. Then he missed the rim by about 4 foot on another 15-foot jumper that made me think, okay, let's not do that again. So yeah, I mean, he's got work to do, but you can tell he's older. You can tell he's still learning everything, but at least like the basketball, like instinct stuff, he seemed to me to be a little bit more ahead of the curve than, some of these guys we've seen come over in their first, couple weeks, even being in America. So, that's kind of, they're not asking him to do a whole lot right now, but in a practice setting, like you need more than 2 big men. So he's out there a lot. He doesn't look overmatched, I guess is the right way to put it, which you would expect from a guy that was a captain on a
U19
FIBA championship team.
Right.
He's not a big scoring threat. He's not super polished around the rim, but rebounding, deflections, blocking shots, effort, like all of those things are things, I think if we're looking at down the road, I think early in his time here, he can be a serviceable, bring him in off the bench 12, 15 minutes a game. He'll have to develop quite a bit, in terms of being able to provide offense, to move past that. But no, I thought overall, he didn't look out of place. It wasn't easy to be like, ooh, they're gonna have to. He got a long way to go.
Some good first impressions, I would say.
Yeah, I'd say the first impression of him was good.
Cool. All right, guys. Anything?
Decided we can't score.
Okay. Yeah. There we go. Well,
but I mean, he averaged 8 points a game. You're not expecting him to come in. All of a sudden, he averaged 8 points a game in FIBA, and you're thinking he's going to come in and score 12. No.
But good body, size,
230 pounds. He's
dude,
not a toothpick. Yeah. Some of those guys come over, they're 6'10", but they're 195.
Right.
He is not that.
Bobo.
Yeah.
Wow. Bobo, baby. Love the mention.
Mo Bamba.
Gosh, one of the best hype songs out there whenever that comes on at the Nip or at Fifth Third Arena, man. I get hype. All right. Well, let's go ahead and timestamp this sucker.
All right. That is the Quick Paper Supply timestamp, your local and family-owned restaurant supply company for all your non-food products. They service over 150 restaurants with weekly, low minimum, next-day deliveries, providing a wide range of food service products from to-go containers, cups, custom-printed products, eco-friendly, and much more. They also have cleaning and restroom supplies for all your janitorial needs. Call my guy, Nick, 513-470-2029 and reference Bearcats for 20% off your first month of purchases.
Oh yeah. You know what time it is, guys? Royer. It is your time to shine, man. And you know what? This past weekend there wasn't a football game for the Bearcats, but I could not think of a better non-Bearcat football Saturday than what we had on hand, man. Vanderbilt, Arkansas. We're talking about bringing goalposts down in both locations. You see, both got what? Vandy got $100,000 fine. Arkansas got a $250,000 fine. Yeah,
that's standard in the SEC. If you storm the field, it's automatically a $500,000 fine.
And then taking the goalpost down Broadway, man. If I was in Broadway, just honky.
Could you imagine, the standard bachelorette party in Nashville, just looking outside the bar and
oh my god,
what is that giant white bar?
They're ruining it.
Oh, I
just a goalpost smashing it. There were cop cars everywhere. The goalposts are bouncing off the cop cars as they're making it to the river. What a scene.
Oh, unbelievable.
What a scene.
It was a phenomenal Saturday.
All while they try to listen to Garth Brooks' Friends in Low Places for the 14th time of the weekend.
I got friends in low. There's no better place than Nashville, Tennessee, man. I tell you what.
Agree to disagree.
Yeah, strongly disagree. You know what we do agree on, and you know what is strong?
Ooh.
New Riff. Fiercely independent and unabashedly innovative, New Riff produces award-winning bourbon, rye whiskey, and gin at their distillery in Newport, Kentucky. The Aquafire Tasting Room, located on the 3rd floor of the distillery, features cocktails, flights, pours of New Riff's entire line of spirits, including rare, limited edition, and distillery-exclusive releases. Bearcat Journal listeners can save 50% off on distillery tours when you use the code BEARCATS24. For more information or to book a tour, visit newriffdistilling.com.
Now that's a segue right there, man. That is a segue.
Yes, it is. I think my first question is kind of having to do with the game with UCF. Do you guys envision there being any scheduling?
Anyone left?
Like any schedule? Like, do you think this hurricane is going to affect any bit of the game?
I mean, that's the hardest part with a hurricane is it's so if it goes just 1 degree this way or 1 degree that way, it doesn't do near the damage as getting a direct hit. So the question is going to be, where does it make landfall? Right now they're saying it's going straight from Tampa to Orlando back out into the Atlantic. And if that's the case, Orlando's going to be a hot mess. No power, lots of, power outages, lots of flooding.
Disney will still be up and running. Without a doubt, Disney will be still up and running the way that Disney does. They have
probably
it's the happiest place on earth, and no hurricane is going to stop that.
Aaron,
there's money to be there. It's the most expensive place on earth.
I'm not certain they don't have a snow globe of some sort around the city of Disney.
The force field just to handle hurricanes and things of the sort.
You're making me want to hop in my car and drive on down to Florida right now. Just stop at Disney before UCF.
I mean,
be safe in Disney World.
Straight shooting going south. Going north, you can't get out of Florida. You drive past hundreds of miles of cars trying to evacuate.
Where y'all going?
South, you'll be fine going south.
Where y'all going? We're heading to Disney. But for real, thoughts and T's and P's, thoughts and prayers out to everyone down there that's braving it. My family's still there. I am up north, so
they're not staying, are they?
Well, yeah, but they're coast side on the Atlantic coast, so I think they're expecting Category 1 is what they're being told. Is what's going to hit them. So they're boarding up, they're stocking up and staying safe. So it's wild. But yeah, I mean, I don't know how long before kickoff do they normally make type of decisions like that? I feel like it's something that happens normally pretty quickly.
Yeah, I mean, they're gonna, it's supposed to make landfall Wednesday night?
Yeah, into Thursday
into Thursday. I mean, I'm guessing they're working on contingency plans now because they've already shut the school down Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and then tentatively Friday. Friday is like, we'll see, like don't expect to have to come, but we might like have some stuff open if possible. You just won't know until Thursday afternoon, because if it misses a little bit and things are fine, then they're just going to treat it like Florida people treat hurricanes, and it missed us. All right, everybody up, back at them. Like, that's kind of how they handle things down there, which that's what, you get accustomed to it. You go through 4, 5, 6 hurricanes a year through Florida. So we'll see. I don't know. I'm sure it'll become a topic tomorrow at the weekly press conference to like ask, like, what do you guys know?
Right.
But it's going to come down to UCF and what, I mean, the erector set might fly away. You might find the bounce house bouncing in the Atlantic Ocean.
Yeah.
Do you even think they could travel out?
It'll again, so if it's Friday and it's already moved through and everything's gone, I think they probably could travel out. But I mean, most of those kids are from Florida. They're going to be dealing with like family displacements and like all kinds of crazy shit up and down the state. Like, I don't know, it's a weird deal. I'm sure if I'm Gus, I'm trying to get like somebody hit the pause button and let me like recalibrate the troops, because the shit is hitting the fan in Orlando. So I'm guessing he would love nothing more than to like, slow down time a little bit.
An additional week off. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just in case you're curious, though, Brent, during the show, I did receive an email from one of the planes that I'm going to be flying on, one of the companies, and they said that if it is canceled due to the hurricane, that I will receive a full refund, no questions asked. So that's nice. I did not expect that. I thought I was just going to have to eat it because I don't ever get the insurance because it's such a scam.
Yeah.
But,
yeah, that's an early forewarning there. Royer, did you guys ever face anything like that, like during your career there? I don't think that there was anything.
No, just the COVID, not knowing if we're going to have a season. That was probably the only thing. But
that was insane within itself. But yeah,
no big deal. Not knowing if we're going to have a season or not.
Just a global pandemic. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Hopefully it doesn't affect too much. And it is pretty crazy. Pre-show before you hopped on, Ryan, Chad, Aaron, and I were looking, and there's only 3 games in the state of Florida this weekend. So that's kind of wild to me. It's FAU and what, Boca Raton, and then USF and Tampa on Friday night, which that will be interesting, and then us at UCF on Saturday. So we'll see.
Yeah.
We will see.
All right. My next question is, which upset game would you have rather been at? I know Brent kind of said he loves Nashville, but would you have rather been in the Vandy Stadium or down in where is it? I don't even know what city that is in.
Fayetteville,
Little Rock, or Fayetteville, whatever.
Fayetteville, in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah,
great little town.
Yeah, I had a blast in Fayetteville until we lost.
Same.
But I still had a blast. Yeah. Or also, I mean, there's a couple other options. You could be in Washington, where they took down the defending national champion. You could have been in Minnesota, where they took down USC. You could have. I mean, there was a bunch of juicy upsets all over. What's your guys' pick?
I'd go back to Arkansas for sure.
I guess Nashville, just because it would be wild. Like, just Nashville's already pretty unhinged. Not my style of unhinged, but it's generally pretty unhinged. That night would have been insane on Broadway. Like, I just had to imagine it was just.
Well, I'm wondering if they're not like
a 12.
Is Vandy like big enough for people to even like take time out of their Nashville mindset to think about?
Roy, did you see the crowd at all at the game?
It was like all Bama fans.
Oh, it was like all Bama fans, and it was they eventually got out there, but it was one of the more pitiful field rushes I've ever seen.
No, they very methodically organized in straight file lines, down the stairs and onto the field. Like they had to they took a commercial break. And when they came back, it was still like it was the most Vandy like nerd thing ever. Like, no, after you, please, yes, sir, thank you, yeah, no, after you. Yeah,
I finally saw. There was finally a couple of people that like said like, all right, screw it, and like jumped like the big jump off, and I was just watching them do it, and it was hilarious. But
they were very uncomfortable. Like they were afraid for their life.
Yeah,
they were like, going over the concrete onto the like they weren't using the proper path. Or fields. It wasn't a field storm. It was like a field shower. Right?
I like that.
They didn't storm anything.
Yeah, they were like, oh, wait, so do we have to pay some of this fine if we go out on the field? How does that work?
I'm not going. That costs $250,000. I'm not going.
Does this come out of our tuition?
That's fiscally irresponsible.
I would have been a part of Diego Pavia's crew and just ran up to the boy and said,
"Is he like some name? I've never heard of him. Like, why was it?
No,
his story. You know what his big story was last year?
He almost ended up in New Mexico.
Yeah, he was at New Mexico State, and he got caught urinating on the UNM, the New Mexico logo at their practice facility, before their game. So,
whoopsie.
Yeah. So he got in a little trouble there, but I mean he was a gamer out there. That's for damn sure. But yeah, I'd say Nashville is the answer.
My third question I ended up having to ask in the basketball portion, the Conor Hickman.
You can come up with another one.
It was a good question though.
Yeah. What did you call John Rothstein? Rosenstein
or something?
Jim Rosenstein.
Well, how about that one question you texted me about this weekend?
Oh my God!
Where you said, "Hey, did you see Jim Rosenstein tweet that he went to he went to Jeff Ruby's
and got pork chops
and got the pork chop exact same meal back-to-back nights?"
Look, that's just. If you go to Jeff Ruby's and you get pork chops, you cannot be trusted. You are not to be trusted. Period.
But he got it back-to-back nights. He doubled down.
He's double not to be trusted. If you go to Ruby's and you don't get a steak, you can go get a freaking pork chop anywhere.
Is that insane behavior, Royer?
Yes.
Is that insane behavior?
Yeah, I don't know how you go to that. It's pretty famous steakhouse. You're getting the pork chop.
Yeah,
not on his side here.
Back-to-back nights, Royer.
I mean, every professional team that comes into town goes to Ruby's. Like everybody big that comes into town goes to Ruby's, and nobody gets a fucking pork chop.
Yeah,
I've never even seen a picture of the pork chop
until Rothstein tweeted it out. Right.
I think I have him muted ever since his lowest point tweet. But
what was that?
When they fired Brandon, he said UC basketball is at the lowest point it's been in 30 years or whatever.
I think he said ever,
whatever.
Why did you unfollow him for that?
I just muted him.
It was clickbait. It's clickbait, man. I mean, like, it was just...
I just know how he operates, and I've been around him enough to know that he's not my cup of tea.
Yeah, I mean, it's a reckless order. But, yeah, that's your boy, Jim Rosenstein.
Twice. Jim Rosenstein.
Wild.
Beast.
It was so funny because he, like, posted that he was, like, in Cincinnati at Ruby's, and then the next day he's like, I'm at Dayton practice. And then he said... And
didn't he go to Xavier and Ohio State? And
Well, I mean, so we were
Yeah,
like,
he hit everybody. Yeah.
wait a minute, so he's not going to go to Cincy, and then it's like, oh no, I'm still here, back at Ruby's, yet again, pork chops.
I feel
Ooh,
like
I'm
he
at
tweets
Cincinnati
about
practice.
Cincinnati a lot. Why is that?
He used to a lot more. He was really close with Mick and Savino.
Yeah. He's slowly started to do it a little bit more this year, though. I agree, Royer. This offseason, I think he's starting to buy into the movement, if you will.
Yeah, the Miller movement.
The Miller movement. Anything else, Big Dog?
I just think he lacks the thing that you need in sports media today, and that's authenticity. Everything feels like shtick. Everything is very like kitschy. It's not. I mean, I don't know. Maybe that is authentically who he is, but I don't believe that. Nobody's that. Nobody's that
that's
corny.
His thing. The Rostianisms.
Yeah.
Rosensteinisms.
The Rosensteiners. Yeah, those good things. But yeah,
Jim Rosenstein live from Fifth Third Arena.
I had Dewey's Pizza last night, Royer. What you know about Dewey's Pizza?
I know a little bit.
It's pretty good.
It's not my favorite, but it's solid.
Okay, fine. Agree to disagree. I enjoyed it. Really good salad.
Adriatico's the king right now.
Was not in Cincinnati, but yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Well, let's timestamp.
There's Adriatico's in Columbus, Brent.
Is there?
Not nearly as good though.
Oh wow, where's that at? Downtown?
It's like right on.
They sell the Buckeye instead of the Bearcat. That immediately.
It's right in the middle of OSU's campus.
How about how wild this is? We're watching the Bengals Ravens game yesterday, and there's a commercial for Donato's Pizza, and they're selling a Block O pizza in Columbus. It's like pepperoni on the outside, and the middle is cheese. It's like, what the hell is this?
You're literally losing pizza.
Yeah, I'm like, what is going on here? Block O.
They are a Columbus originated company.
Oh,
that's where the first Donatos were in Columbus.
Lame.
Good for Roy.
I know that because I worked at and helped open the first Donatos in Greater Cincinnati.
Humble brag. Humble brag.
I was a pup. I was like 15, but yeah, that was one of my first jobs.
Humble beginnings.
That's when you get reckless in that pizza kitchen, man.
Is that where you did the
like
chip thing?
No, that was at Uno's.
Yeah, Uno's. It was a different pizza place.
Yeah.
Aren't you like 55 now? Didn't I see that on Twitter this week?
Yeah, somebody said I was 55.
Oh, wow.
I said, I'm 46, thank you. And they said that it looks you've had a rough 46 years. I'm like, yeah. Have you not followed along? Shit.
Are you new here?
You don't know about the Uno's tip story?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I look old. You're right.
No,
that's correct.
You're beautiful, Chad. You're beautiful.
So you just got to carry around that picture of you and the referee thing.
All right, throw it up.
You
got it on deck. Let's see it. Wow, this is the slow. Oh, there we are.
Yeah.
Golly. That guy would have tore down Grandview Cafe with me this Saturday night. That's for damn sure.
What were you there for?
So whenever I come up to the Midwest, it's like I'm go visit my brother. Might as well.
He lives in Grandview.
Grandview, yeah.
Yeah,
it's a good time.
Great
time. All right.
Chad, paper supply timestamp.
I mean, are we ready now?
Yeah, born ready. Lance.
Quick Paper Supply, your local and family-owned restaurant supply company for all your non-food products. To-go containers, cups, pizza boxes, to-go bags, can liners, napkins. They've been open since 2009 and are one of the largest minority-owned companies in the city. Call Nick, 513-470-2029, and reference Bearcats for 20% off your first month of purchases.
Boom, baby. Before we hop in the mailbag, did want to touch real quick. UCF, we kind of just mentioned the relocation of the game, but I just wanted to get some initial thoughts on the.
No, don't. You can't say it like that. There is no relocation of the game,
or not relocation. Sorry, the possible ramifications of the current disaster tragedy that is starting to hit the entire Florida state.
Right.
So there we go. So, initial thoughts on the Central Florida Knights of Gold. Royer, you have been a part of this rivalry, I guess is what it is now. As a player, now you've been able to take it in as a fan / podcaster. The main talking point.
Is that my title? It's part of my professional titles.
all of the above.
You can put that as a signature on your email now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Big
podcaster.
You extraordinaire. Big storyline, obviously, in the offseason for Bearcat fans is going to be facing the former Bearcats and UCF. And
one's gone.
It's looking like Deshaun Pace is going to be the only one that will be squaring off against
the
Bearcat.
Looking like. I mean, Montgomery is transferring. Threats is
Montgomery's
transferring.
Hurt. Yeah.
And Montgomery's hurt.
I didn't know Miles got hurt.
Yeah, Miles is out for the year.
And Threats, who his teammates are not very happy about him leaving. One referenced him as a female dog, if you will.
I wonder what Marty would call it.
What?
I wonder what
they
Marty
said that to him?
Yeah, on
social media.
Social media. So that's that. First off, thoughts on UCF and the game. Obviously, they're coming off back-to-back losses. They have not looked very good. KJ Jefferson obviously has not been the quarterback that Gus Malzahn and the entire UCF faithful hoped that he would be coming into things. Harvey seems like their go-to and only big-time player. A little bit of turmoil going on down there in UCF. Just overall thoughts heading into this game this weekend. Obviously, Chad, you're going to touch on it more throughout the week, and it'll be all over BCJ leading up to kickoff. But Ryan, is this a team you hated? Is this a team that you hate still? Is this a game that you would circle to be excited for more than others?
I'd say excited more than others. I don't think there was ever really a hate. It was kind of just like, all right, this game, like they were always really solid. So you knew it was going to be a good game. And I think kind of like when they embarrassed us on game day, it was kind of like, all right, like now it's like our turn to get them back. And then after that, it was always like, they're going to be one of the better teams we play. And then we were the best team they were going to play. So I think they had a little bit more chip to it than us. But I wouldn't say it's like a hatred or anything, but just like it's always a solid competitive game. And, that kind of gets the energy around the game, the players involved a little bit more amped up. But I think, that kind of leads into like, it's not really the best situations for us, I feel, because, they're kind of reeling, and I think they're going to use that kind of like, we're like a formidable foe with them. We've been the past, like 4 years, 5 years. So I think that's going to be kind of used in their locker room. And I think they kind of match up well with us, kind of that run game attack. And I don't know, I've kind of talked about it a lot of times with our guys at the point of attack and the way they can use Jefferson in the run game as well. I think kind of just doesn't stack up super great against our D-line / linebackers with kind of the tendencies we've been having in the run game. Mm. So I think that it's going to be a tough game. I think it's going to be, it's always hard to go there and play. They always got a good fan base. I don't know how they're going to be now, reeling off 2 losses, but they always play us well when we're at their place. So and they're going to be scraping for a win just like we are. So it's going to be tough.
Yeah. Aaron, your opening thoughts on the old Knights of Gold.
I think if you're going to play them at any point during the season, this is when you want them. Right now, they are reeling. KJ Jefferson doesn't look anything like the KJ Jefferson we saw in Fayetteville, to bring that back up again. But I don't know. They have players. They're hemorrhaging players right now. Who knows who's even going to be in town to go to the game because of a hurricane if you have the game on Saturday. So I think you want this game. If you're Cincinnati, you want this game. You want it in ink. You want it in blood. You want it etched in a stone tablet coming down off a mountain. You want this game to happen however you can get it to happen. And I think
I'm on the phone going, hey, you guys come up here. Like,
right. Just
come on up.
Get it.
We'll
get it done.
Fly out Tuesday morning. We'll put you in a hotel for a couple days. You guys can all hang out with each other. I know you guys really like each other right now. You can get some team bonding time.
Keep in mind, they're also not even going to be able to really install anything this week because when are you going to practice? Where are you going to practice?
Tomorrow's the only possibility.
Right. I guess that's kind of my point and who knows what the indoor practice facility is going to look like, what the fields are going to look like. Are you going to
practice in a giant steel structure in the middle of a hurricane?
That's my whole point. No. That's what I'm getting at. You don't know what shrapnel has gone through your I'm sure the indoor practice facility is largely glass. Hurricane glass, I'm sure, but
glass
still.
And giant metal beams that might be flying at your head at any given moment.
You want this game to happen. You need this game to happen, and I'm very, very hopeful that I am in Orlando to witness Cincinnati taking out UCF after they just lost to Florida
and Colorado by 27.
Yeah. Yeah.
As 15.5-point favorites.
Yeah, and they were down 24-3 at halftime against Florida this past weekend. So
yeah, it's not going great.
No,
it's not going great for the old Gus Bus.
No,
I'm telling you guys, they're gonna be. I think there's some aspects of their run game that pair up well with our struggles on defense, and I think they're gonna be kind of
sure, but they can't pass. They can't pass at all.
I know. I'm just saying. They're going to be.
You're going to have an opportunity. You're going to have an opportunity to do what Colorado and Florida did, and that's just sell out on the run. Like, we dare you to beat us with the pass. And the more interesting matchup here is their pass defense is dreadful, like bad. So as long as you're not still dealing with hurricane force winds, Sorsby and this pass offense should be able to. They don't get pressure. They don't send pressure. They don't. And they've got three or four sacks on the season, like something crazy low. That for me, Ryan. Give me your thoughts on this. For me, if I'm looking at a good pass offense against a bad pass defense, and on the other side, a good run offense against a bad run defense, I'll take the pass stuff. Because I can strike quick and kind of, put you on your heels. If you can get up 14 points, you can take that run game away.
No,
if UCF gets up 14 points, Cincinnati's still, if they can get a couple stops, they're going to be able to move the ball through the air.
Real quick, Royer, before you answer that, they're dead last in college football, only 3 sacks through 5 games. And
so I was right.
They are the 4th worst pass defense in the Big 12. Cincinnati is the 3rd worst pass defense in the Big 12, but that is neither here nor there. But Royer, go ahead.
No, I agree with you, Chad, on that front. It's just I'm also curious how our run offense is going to look. Hopefully we get Corey or Pryor back to be able to. I think that'll help, and not just having Manny back there. I'll try to have some layer of a rushing attack. That'd be nice to have back. But I agree with you that I'm just saying if we sell out for the run.
Yeah.
How well is meaning that means our sellout of the run is we're going to have a safety involved in the fit. How effective are they going to be? And then how effective are our guys going to be on an putting 4-on-4 on an island? So we'll see. I just know how they're going to be ready to play, and they are always ready to play this game. And I think they do have that.
I don't think they've ever been in a situation like this, Ryan.
No,
their backs are against the wall.
And when you were bringing up all the I didn't even think about all that stuff, being able to practice and like trying to stay focused and stuff. That's a good point. So that is in our favor. So as bad as it may sound, our opponent.
I mean, we're here breaking down football games. Like, we're not weathermen. We're not here to, like, you know, we respect it and honestly give our thoughts on hoping everything is okay down there. But our job is to talk about the football game.
Yeah.
If you got a major hurricane coming in, like that does a lot to what you're able to do throughout the week. If they're smart, just get on a plane tomorrow, get up to Cincinnati.
Yeah.
Hang out here for a couple days. We'll sell tickets.
Do you think Cunningham's been having those talks?
I don't know how you don't. Like, it's got to be part of all they've got to be looking at all their contingency plans. The bye weeks don't match up. Like, you wouldn't, there's nowhere that you'd be able to really play the game all the way until the conference championship week. Like, I don't know how you navigate this without, like, already being well into these conversations, because you know this thing's coming. Like, it is coming. There ain't no, like, we hope it turns north and goes up through the Panhandle. Like, it's coming through the middle of Florida. So I would guess everything's on the table. Like I said, I assume we'll hopefully have a better grasp on things tomorrow as to, you know, exactly what the landscape is.
Yeah. I mean, it will be interesting to see as those things unfold. But as you mentioned, more, you know, we're just here talking about the game, which, back to the game, is Roy was saying that UCF is the number one rush offense in the Big 12. They have, you know, obviously one of the best running backs. And we just saw what Taj Brooks did against Cincinnati. So, you know, everything is pretty plausible to be a little bit, you know, concerned when it comes to just the rushing attack that they do have. But, you know, I mean, even against Colorado, they got things going on the ground. They had 177 yards and a touchdown, but they ran the ball
under 3 yards a carry.
Yeah,
like under 3 yards a carry.
Yeah. 4 yards a carry. Yeah, which is crazy.
Or under 4, yeah, 3.8 or whatever.
Yeah. I mean, it's just like Chad's saying, you know, you've got a whole extra week to prepare with the bye week. You could scheme up against the run, kind of, you know, force some turnovers through the air with KJ Jefferson, who's shown he's really struggled to throw the football this year. But I don't know. It's going to be interesting, because I know that this is probably a game that everyone who has been in the Cincinnati program for a while knows that, hey, we want to get this right and take down UCF, which is something that they would be able to do in all likelihood. It's 3-point underdogs right now. I think it's a pretty fair number. It kind of shows it's more of a pick 'em. Quite different than, as Chad mentioned, what I think the final line was 14.5 or 13.5 against Colorado, which is just insane. It was free money that weekend. But yeah, we'll see. Sorsby, I'm just excited I get to see Brendan Sorsby sling the rock again, and hopefully it comes out with a win. Anything further on UCF, Aaron? As you popping the mic on?
No, I just know the mailbag's coming up.
Oh, okay. Real quick, did you guys see what Travis had to do for the Texas Tech payback?
Put on
Pretty hilarious.
The Raider. Did you see what he's already done tonight? He's playing rugby again.
Oh, he pitched it?
Like, it was 3rd and 22. He catches it over the middle, sees it might have been Samaje Perine, and throws it like 15 yards in the air, like backwards, 15 yards to Perine, who they got 21 yards, and then they picked up 4th and 1.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. And then our guy, second career interception for Cookie.
You got an INT?
Let's go.
Got a good pick.
Beast.
That's our guy right there.
Absolute beast. B. Cook. I love it. Well, that game, obviously, this weekend. Stay locked into all things Bearcats. Chad, it is media availability tomorrow for both football and basketball, right?
Yep.
Okay, so obviously a lot more questions and answers based off just play time, and then of course who's going to be available for the game come Friday.
Stay tuned. 3:30. Yep. Stay tuned to this YouTube channel. Keegan will have all the video, and stay tuned to follow Keegan on Twitter. I still refuse to call it that other letter. It's Twitter.
We'll stay away from it.
Yeah. Hey, Ryan, that's a good way to get kicked off this podcast. We don't
with
do that
a blue shirt on too. Jeez, oh, please.
Damn, y'all are coming around.
This fucking guy in timeout for a minute. Jesus.
That's okay.
What about this?
Oh, whoa!
We just hang up on him.
I think it happened. Jeez.
I mean, I can still see him. I was talking just hanging up on him in general.
Oh, there he is. Which Royer? The over the weekend was what was it? The 3-year anniversary? Oh no, what? No, not sorry, 5-year anniversary of the Sauce game, the UCF Friday Night Light game.
Jumping the little stop route.
Yep, and it led into one of the most let's just say the dunk contest wasn't great at that Midnight Madness thing for the Bearcats afterwards, but that was a cool little event. But either way, big win. Let's hope a big win. 3:30 at the Bounce House. Take it away, Chad.
I got to do another. Quick Paper Supply, your local and family and restaurant supply company for all your non-food products. Quick Paper services over 150 restaurants with weekly low minimum next day deliveries, providing a wide range of food service products from to-go containers, cups, custom printed products, eco-friendly, and much more. They also have cleaning and restroom supplies for all your janitorial needs. Call Nick, 513-470-2029, and reference Bearcats for 20% off your first month of purchases.
Right. Boom. Let's get into that mailbag. The aforementioned mailbag. All right. Starting off in the football portion of the mailbag. When Vandy beats Alabama, number 1, as a 23-point underdog with half the Bearcat team watching on TV, does a result like that boost the Bearcats' team confidence in games moving forward? In other words, if Vandy could beat Bama as a 23-point dog, why in the hell can't we go down to Florida and beat UCF or beat K-State, etc.? Reason number 1 might be a hurricane.
I will tell you.
I would never think like that.
Ryan can attest to this. You guys don't watch a lot of college football.
We don't watch a lot now.
There are guys that, you're going to have Kyle Washington was a college basketball geek. You're going to have a couple of guys that are like that. For the most part, college athletes do not watch much college sports. College basketball guys watch a ton of the NBA. I assume college football guys watch a bunch of NFL on Sundays, Ryan, if they get the chance, when they're done with, recovery and the Sunday meetings after a game. But college athletes just do not pay much attention to college sports as a general rule. Am I right on that?
Yeah, and I'd also say that we're not looking at Vandy as we're at it. I don't think we should ever be looking at a game we're in the same shoes as Vanderbilt versus Alabama. I feel like that's a hopeless scenario to be we're on that level. We need to be motivated like that. So
now maybe if you see the number 1 team in your conference get beat, then you go into it okay, they're beat. Okay, they're not invincible. We can take them down, but a different conference, 2 teams that you have nothing to do with, it's not going to move the needle at all.
I remember I was always hoping, when UCF, when they got beat by Pitt the week before that game, Brent was talking about, I was mad. I was I want them to be undefeated. I want them at their best. I want to and then you want that team to be ranked as high as possible. So when you beat them, it looks better for you. So
I accidentally live bet that UCF Pitt game UCF money line, and
accidentally,
yeah. And I was on a date with my now ex-girlfriend at the time, and I had told her I had to leave the table for a little bit, and it was a long bit that I left the table for. And yeah, that's the story about that day.
How long are we talking? Half hour?
She probably thought I was going number 2, but I was not. I was just kind of walking around.
Wait.
Were you sitting on the toilet with the game on the phone?
It was on at the restaurant, and I was like looking at it, and I was like, oh gosh.
I need did you watch a quarter? Like how I need.
So there was
an
some
understanding.
Pitt ran their version of like the Philly special. I remember on like a 4th down to score the go ahead touchdown, and I just remember like that happened, and I was like mid conversation, and I like saw it out of the corner of my eye, and I was like, oh gosh, I gotta step away real quick, and I didn't come back for a while.
10 minutes?
Yeah, 15, 20, yeah, something around there.
20 minutes.
Yeah, but
and this relationship didn't work.
Yeah, well, it lasted about 4 years, and then it didn't work after that. But here we are. But that was quite the game there, Roy.
For her, there were red flags early. Let's just say that.
Fair, very fair.
I love you, Brent. Oh man, when could we expect to find out whether the game at UCF will be played Saturday, or if not, when an announcement of any other plans could be made? I hope they don't wait until Milton roars through there. Certainly, there should be contingency plans either in place already or nearing completion. We had not yet talked about it when I threw this in the mailbag, but hurry up and wait.
Again, I don't know how you can have contingency plans in mind. I don't know how you make any decisions until you see what happens. Like until you know what you're dealing with, and you're not going to know that until after it roars through. Now they're saying like this is going to be like an 8-hour window that this thing is going to go from like one side of Florida to the other and up back into the Atlantic. So it's going to be quick, but it's, I think I saw it's the 5th strongest hurricane in history. Like right now it is the 5th strongest recorded hurricane in the history of hurricanes. Like since they have been monitoring them. That is terrifying.
Stronger than Hurricane Andrew?
They're saying it's number 5, Aaron. I don't know. I haven't done my full research.
Yeah, I don't know where. That's the biggest one I can remember in my lifetime, I feel like, was Hurricane Andrew. But what freshmen have impressed you this year with their play?
Simeon Coleman, for sure. Jaquan Sanks has been pretty good. He's been a little inconsistent as we've gotten over the course of 5 games. I think that's to be expected.
But it seems like a junior. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that's where I stand with Sanks. It's like he doesn't look out of place at all, which is awesome to see.
Sabor?
Yeah, on special teams.
So Sabor on special teams has maybe been the best of the bunch. Like he is a menace on special teams. Gavin Grover has been growing into more and more of a positive with each passing week. Like, I think he has been pretty impressive as his snaps have gone up.
Whedon, Parker.
Yeah, I mean, those guys have been a lot more hit and miss than the ones that we've made.
I think the answer is Simeon Coleman. I mean, just some of the tackles.
Coleman and Sabor are both like right up there for me.
Yeah.
All right. Best bar to watch the Cats on Saturday, not Clifton. Wife won't deal with that.
Holy Grail.
Okay.
We'll have a watch party. If there's a game, we will be there. Check. Also, Hail Mary Sports Bar in Cheviot. On the west side. They're in the Dora district on Harrison Avenue, so you can walk around from bar to bar with your drinks. But why would you need to when you can stay at Hail Mary's? They've got 27 TVs, a 9-screen video wall. The UC game will be on the 9-screen video wall. I know a lot about Hail Mary's. They'll have food trucks there.
They'll serve the beer in very, very cold cups.
Yes, 32.8 degree beer frosted glasses, which I still haven't figured out if that means they dip them in beer and then they put them in the beer fridge. I'm not sure. The glass freezer. I'm not sure. But yeah, those are the two right off the top of my head that I would recommend would be Holy Grail and Hail Mary Sports Bar.
Those are pretty good spots, I hear. Which sport is more popular, football or men's basketball?
Well,
are we talking at Cincinnati or in general?
Yeah.
That's my question. I don't know.
Yeah.
Because those are very
in general, it's football and it's not close.
Correct.
At Cincinnati, it's closer than most.
Yeah. I mean, I think
Ryan's going to get mad when I say it's probably basketball.
Basketball's got a leg up.
No, Royers agreed with that.
I agree with you.
There's just been decades more of growing the college basketball fan base here. Like, it's just a sheer, numbers game of the time that UC has been relevant in basketball as compared to the time that UC has been high quality in football. The football fan base is still a sapling.
Trending up.
Is a sapling. Is that a young tree?
Yeah.
It's a sapling where, UC basketball has been strong since the 50s and 60s. It's like a redwood at this point in time. There might be the numbers, there might be more UC football fans, just sheer numbers, because football is so much more popular than college basketball. But in terms of the diehards and the people that are actually invested, I think it's probably basketball, but it's close.
I'm excited to see, as far as the national fanhood works, how much the 12-team playoff kind of just raises excitement around that part of college football. Because I feel like the bowl season was slowly dying down. People just started caring less and less about bowl games. I feel like this year we're going to see a revamped excitement around the college football playoff, which will be hopefully fun to see when the Bearcats reach that goal again in the future.
At least for those bowl games, right? We'll see if anybody cares about anything outside of the Pop-Tart Bowl for games that aren't actually included in the CFP. But
they ate that Pop-Tart. They ate the mascot, Aaron. Did you see that?
Did you see that you can actually get a Halloween costume that is the Pop-Tart?
Ooh, count me in.
Okay.
I think Royer wants a nibble, don't you? A little bite. Just give me a little.
You had to make it weird.
Yeah.
All right. That's the end of the football portion of the mailbag. Moving into the basketball portion. Last year's team started pretty slow for a number of reasons. How long into the non-con do you think it'll take for this team to start rolling?
Better be quick. You're returning the entire core of your team. You better be. You don't want to be playing your best basketball in late November, but I would not expect much ramp up time for this team to be, clicking pretty well.
You're also not missing two of your bigs going into the season.
Knock on wood.
I'd say by halftime of the Ohio State exhibition, all things will be rolling, baby. All things will be rolling.
That would be great.
I'm just disappointed George Washington III is not going to be there.
George Washington III. Yes, sir.
How much are Rayvon and Reed competing for minutes at this point, or could there be effective lineups including both?
Could there be effective lineups including both? Sure. Will there be lineups including both? Given the roster composition, I find that hard to believe. They're clear. I mean, they're play roughly the same position. They are behind the same number of guys in front of them that we talked about in the first part of the show. They competed for minutes last year. Reed won out. That's why Rayvon redshirted. They will compete for minutes this year. It is going to be a lot more than just competing against each other for minutes this time. It's going to be a battle.
Anything to add to that, Brent?
No, I'm just I'm excited to see in the Ohio State exhibition just kind of how the development looks for both of them. Obviously, it's not going to be like a legit game and things like that, but you're going to be able to see little things that they both worked on in the offseason, and so that's where I'll definitely, I plan on keeping an eye on that, and I'm excited to see how that looks.
All right. Well, the Ohio State game has officially sold out for a practice game. Will this help us start scheduling more aggressively for non-con games, and especially local games like Dayton, OSU, maybe in Indiana, UK, even if it's preseason? We see the demand is there.
It has not sold out officially. There are still a ton of seats in the upper deck. I believe the lower bowl
sold out.
Student tickets sold out, and I think the lower bowl is pretty full. It is not sold out, and no, it has nothing to do with non-conference games. Nobody is like, well, if Cincinnati had better attendance, we would. Kentucky's not like, wow, if they put an extra 500 people in Fifth Third Arena, we'd go up there. But you know, they average 500 under capacity, so they're out. No, that has nothing to do with it.
All right. Hickman or Frederick, who will impact the team the most?
Hickman. And that's not a knock on CJ. It is that Hickman is more versatile in his position. He can play the 1, he can play the 2, he will play the 1, he will play the 2. Where CJ is kind of that wing, you know, yes, he can play the 2 or the 3, but those are essentially very, very similar spots, except for, you know, potentially who you guard. But Hickman being able to gain minutes at the 1, I think, gives him much more of a chance for an impact. Plus, let's just be honest. We got to see CJ healthy for a season. Like, that's not, you know, everybody is looking at him and saying, love to have him. At this point, we don't know how much we can count on him to be healthy for 30 games. So for now, I'll go with Hickman.
And man, if he is healthy and provides shooting off the bench, whew,
yeah,
that'd be an unbelievable luxury. So
put him in, hide him in the corner, bang, bang. Plays 5 minutes, hits 2 threes.
That dude was on fire at Iowa. I mean, come on.
He shot it well at Kentucky when he was healthy.
Right. He had a couple games here.
All right.
He can shoot. He's one of the best shooters in college basketball. I don't think anybody disputes that. When healthy, he is an elite weapon on the wing.
Yeah. But the answer here is Hickman.
All right. That is the end of the basketball portion of the mailbag. Moving on to the last portion, the Banks portion of the mailbag.
Skins.
Chad, you have talked about Wake Forest graphic screw up with Keyshawn Tillery. What are some of the more memorable recruiting bag fumbles you have seen in your career that you were at liberty to discuss?
I'm really not at liberty to discuss many of them.
I mean, the Phil Hardnett pamphlet was not necessarily.
But he still came here.
Not necessarily a bag fumble, but still.
This is terrible.
Like,
what are we looking
at here?
I don't know that, you know, a lot of it is just, you know, the rare, but it does happen. Like, you go on a recruiting trip, and the funny thing is, it's not too different than like college football, where that like the game where they have like, okay, this is like his number one priority, and you get a bad read on the number one priority, and you sell the kid on something that isn't ultimately all that important in the decision. And, you know, the kid picks somewhere else because you didn't read the room. Another one that's big is, you know, coaching staffs that don't figure out who's making the decisions. And in today's college basketball landscape, you got the coach, you got the AAU coach, you got the trainer, you got the parents, you got the brother. Like, there's all these different players, and you have to figure out who is the decision maker. When they sit down to make a decision, who's going to have the loudest voice in that room? I have seen a lot of staffs get that wrong. And they're hard selling somebody that's not going to make the decision. You know what that does? That makes the person that's making the decision leery of sending their kid to your school because you are hard selling somebody that isn't going to be, if they are involved in the decision, isn't going to be involved at all. I'm not going to give any specific names. I do think there's a really interesting situation going on now that hopefully one day I will get to tell the story on because it's pretty fascinating. But that's reading the room is usually where things screw up. Is you don't get the read on what was important to the kid, or you don't get the read on, and you pick wrong on who was making the decision. How does that happen a lot of times? That happens because somebody that's involved in the process will talk to the assistant and say like, hey, I got such and such. An AAU coach calls one of their buddies. Hey, I got this guy. And then they start recruiting him, and the coach sells the whole time. The AAU coach sells the whole time. I'm the decision maker. Like, I got this. I got this for you. I got this. Well, it turns out mom was making the decision, and mom is pissed off that she went on an official visit only to have the coach at the school kiss the AAU coach's ass the whole time, not pay any attention to mom. And then mom's like, I ain't sending you there. Like they couldn't even love up on your mom. They couldn't even, they didn't talk to me at dinner. Like stuff like that comes back and haunts you in recruiting.
Okay.
Big time.
All right.
I was around when Kentucky screwed up Josh Selby and Will Barton.
What did they do?
They were listening to the wrong person. They thought they had an in with somebody that was the decision maker, and it wasn't the decision maker. And those two guys really weren't even all that super interested in going to school together. They didn't go to school together. And Kentucky was like selling it as a package deal. I actually ended up at a luncheon at an AAU event that was, there were 40 NCAA violations broken at this lunch that I was at.
Okay.
And they didn't end up at the school. So I guess the violations didn't matter because that's not where they ended up. But a lot of that goes on. A lot.
Not necessarily the illegal infraction part anymore, but
everything's legal now. Nothing's illegal anymore.
That's a whole different conversation for a whole different podcast. Aaron?
The last question in the mailbag. What was your favorite childhood backyard game, i.e. kick the can, freeze tag, etc.?
Wiffle ball. Does wiffle ball count?
Yeah.
Wiffle ball.
Okay.
We had Brent, we had a one of my buddies, the lot right behind his house was vacant, abandoned. There's no house. It was just empty. So we spent like 3-4 weeks building a wiffle ball field.
Hell yeah.
Fence, like the left field fence was like 12 feet tall, whole 9 yards. We built it. We got to play on it for like a month.
Ooh.
And then somebody bought it and built a house on it and tore it down. It was devastating. We worked so hard on that damn wiffle ball field.
Gotta get that ball back.
We had bases, like we had cut the dirt base paths out. We had cut a warning track by the wall. It was awesome. And then like 3 weeks it was up.
Dang.
For me, it was kick the can. We lived in a cul-de-sac, so we just put the can right in the middle of the cul-de-sac. And then all the neighbors didn't care that we would go hide in their yards and what have you. Nobody had like big vicious nobody had like big vicious dogs or anything. And then like behind all those houses, there was just woods. So we could go back into the woods and what have you. And it was incredible, especially as it got dark and you just had no idea where the hell anybody was.
Okay.
Plenty of kids on the street. It was awesome.
Yeah. Roy, I know you got a good one.
We had my neighborhood. We loved basketball. We just played. We had like right by my house. There was a dead end. We had we had 2 hoops, so we could play like full court.
Oh baby!
And we would just have like 5-on-5, 4-on-4, 3-on-3 tournaments all day long. Low hoop, high hoop. That was our favorite.
tackle football was a big one for me and the crew growing up. And I was just a big dude, so it was like rumbling, stumbling, bumbling, and then I just grew fat instead of tall after that. So kind of athletic career went downhill after that. But capture the flag. I loved capture the flag. That was a fun one, especially because there was a bunch of kids in my neighborhood. That's probably about it.
All right. Well, that's the mailbag. Get us out of here, Brent.
There was also a group of friends. One of my buddies had older brothers, and like instead of tag, they would do a tag on a certain area, and it hurt. And I just did not like that game. That backyard game was terrible. But that was a game. But capture the flag for sure. Chad, thanks for the night. Any further remarks? Anything else, guys? As we
let's get out of here. The further remarks. Let's get out of here.
Yeah,
1:55, like under 2 hours. Let's go.
Well, as everyone prepares for big game this weekend, of course, as we already mentioned, our thoughts are for everyone down there. Hopefully, things don't get too crazy, and there will be a game at the Bounce House as the Bearcats take on the Knights at 3:30 on Saturday. Stay locked into BCJ. A lot on tap this week. Wes Miller on the show on Wednesday. Of course, everything else you need. So stay locked in. But big shout out to Danco Transmission, Quick Paper Supply, new riff. Gotta love it, man. I love new riff, man. New riffing with Royer, my favorite always. But for my guys, pals, the crew, Aaron Smith, Chad Brendel, Ryan Royer, I am Brent Young. Yet again, another fantastic BBP presented by BearcatJournal.com.
See ya.